Finally, after almost a month, it's time to test out some viewers' builds. Here we have a list of builds that I chose either at random or they stood out to me, and we're going to be rating them. All of these were submitted through the CreeperMinion Discord, or I grabbed them from the comment section on either TikTok or YouTube. So we got quite the variety of guns to go through here. And at least a few of these builds are questionable, to say the least. Here we got a TAR 21 build, which is nice. You can't really go wrong with the TAR. It calls for a reflex sight, muzzle brake, folding grip, blue laser, and default ammo. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is almost exactly what I use on my TAR typically. The only differences are the sight and the barrel. I know this is a hot take, but the reflex sight just isn't that great in my opinion. The optic itself is just too small for me, and if you want a small optic, I'd much rather go for the Coyote or Barska, both of which have the same size glass with a smaller frame for more visibility. But of course, the sight really doesn't affect the actual gunplay. As for the barrel, muzzle brake and compensator are both great, so either is fine with me. This build is clearly intended for ADS with the folding grip and blue laser, and it serves its purpose well. 9 out of 10. Hey guys, CreeperMinion here. I'm poor now. I invested in Tesla. I invested into the G3A3, but not the good kind of investment. More like the Elon Musk buying Twitter kind of investment. In other words, the worst possible financial decision. Here we have a G3 loadout riddled with red flags. We're gonna run a furrow sight, muzzle booster, chainsaw grip, ballistics tracker, and hollow point ammo. You might be wondering why anyone would use this. Answer, they wouldn't. I mean, you can't even see the furry, which costs 3,500 credits. Its recoil is definitely up there for one of the worst of all time, but hey, at least you can see where you need to aim for the headshots. Despite being a battle rifle with hollow point, it's incapable of two-shotting to the body, which just makes it even worse. You just gotta hit that headshot, I guess. 1 out of 10. Next up we got a sniper rifle, but it's clearly not built for actual sniping. But that's probably fine. Seeing as it's a semi-auto, there's more leeway for missed shots. The attachments for it are a Z-point sight, muzzle brake, folding grip, canted iron sight, and default ammo. So, I have some questions. Why a canted iron sight? The Z-point already has 1.25 sight magnification, and I can't imagine why you would need to switch to irons ever. I would much rather take a tri-laser, or better yet, the SVU-A conversion. SVU-A makes it so it becomes a full auto, which makes it much more suitable for close range. As a Dragunov is, it two-shots to the body at any range, so headshots are essentially required. I can't say that the build has the greatest attachment chemistry, but it could definitely be usable with some tweaks here or there. 5 out of 10. If you watch my top 5 ARs video, you know it's no secret that I'm a huge C7A2 fan. Those Canadians really outdid themselves with this gun, so I'm excited to try this one out. For the attachments, we got a DDHB reflex, which is claimed to be optional, but I'm going to go with it anyways. ARS suppressor, folding grip, tri-laser, and armor-piercing ammo. This is phenomenal. Actually an awesome build right here. The build is made using both the ARS suppressor and AP ammo, both of which have a huge negative impact on the suppression. But because the C7A2 already has really poor suppression, it changes virtually nothing, while increasing the penetration substantially and improving recoil. The gun's attachments all just feel smooth overall, which is great. As soon as I jumped in, I started printing kills with this gun, so yeah, I'd say the build's pretty awesome. Only problem is all these attachments are pretty pricey, so I honestly would just recommend leveling the gun by getting all 1,200 kills to unlock the attachments. 10 out of 10.
That's my favorite!
I'm going to try to put my bias behind me for this one, seeing as I hate the MP5K. Honestly, I think the MP5K might be a bottom 5 PPW. There are just much better German guns out there. As for the build, we got a Delta sight, muzzle brake, skeleton grip, MP5K stock, and hollow point ammo. The recoil is more than manageable and the fire rate is solid, but something about this build just gets me. The damage should be there, but it just isn't. It does 36 damage close, so with 3 shots to the body, but the issue with hollow point on an SMG is the headshot damage. It's the same for headshots still, so it's still a 3 hit to the head, which is absurd at the amount of range lost. I might as well just throw rocks at the enemies when they're further than 72 studs, because the 14.17 damage at that range is just dreadful. Still, it's acceptable at close quarters. But honestly, I'd much rather just use the plus P or 10mm auto conversion. 6 out of 10. I remember the good old days where the Honey Badger was the best gun in the game, no questions. Wow, I guess I'm turning into an old head at this point. But this gun has caused me a lot of distress because everybody always mistakes its gun classification. In real life, it's a PDW, but for some reason in Phantom Forces, it's considered a carbine, which confuses many people. But still, some goofballs think it's an assault rifle. Shame on them. Okay, enough waffling. Here's the build. Hensoldt 3x sight, squad barrel, Harris CQR grip, full stock, and armor-piercing ammo. Yeah, it definitely looks a little janky, but we all know that personality is more important anyways. At first, the recoil takes a bit of getting used to, but it's actually not that bad. Typically, you never run a 3x scope on a carbine, but this one gets the pass. The Hera grip and full stock complement the recoil, making it much more manageable. Although I'm not a huge fan of the AP ammo because the build is clearly designed for range and AP reduces range and suppression, that could have been very helpful. 7.5 out of 10. Back to using the Rainbow Six gun, but this time it's going to be a little different. The MP7 build that we made last time was for mid-range with an ACOG, but this time we got a hipfire build. Hipfire on the MP7 might sound questionable, but let's hear the man out. For the build, we got a C79 scope, Osprey suppressor, Harris CQR grip, ballistics tracker, and armor-piercing ammo. Not entirely sure why everyone is so intent on using AP ammo, but it's worth a shot. Initially, when I read this build, I was a bit confused. What could possibly possess someone to put a ballistics tracker on an MP7? But after actually testing it, it felt pretty good. The hipfire was super smooth, and when you needed to, you could pull up the higher powered optic for range. Now, I'm sure the build would be better with a tri-laser, but this isn't too shabby as is. Think of the ballistics tracker as creative freedom, but it definitely helps that the MP7 has solid hipfire by default. 7 out of 10. And finally, we have a highly questionable gun with a highly questionable build. But it's coming straight from Radiohead, and when have they ever done anything strange? The attachments are Mars Optics, PBS-4 suppressor, chainsaw grip, blue laser, and hollow point ammo. I can completely agree with them here. Relatively funny, entirely painful. This gun is the embodiment of how slow can the handling be? Yes. Using this gun is like playing Fortnite only up. Nobody actually enjoys it, but they try to make it seem fun. All that's there is pain and suffering. Well, if its handling is so terrible, it must be strong. Wrong. It is a 5-shot at range. Let that sink in. Someone thought that it would be silly to put hollow point on an LMG, so now at 5 shots at the distance LMGs are meant to be used. You can't possibly understand the pain I felt getting these clips. -2 out of 10. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. We are getting close to 1,000 subscribers. And if you want there to be a part 2, feel free to join the CreeperMinion Discord and submit a build there. Any form of support is greatly appreciated. See you guys in the next video.